spend the night?
Your room is exactly as you left it. It's
I
ready
need to get back.
All they're eating is
That's why
corn.
we should have-
Too many memories.
Well, you might have something for that.
Man, there's a lot of repeating imagery of like these unavoidable waves. On Earth, it's giant dust storms. Obviously, the massive waves on Miller's planet.
To make. Strike out on Mann's planet, and we'll have to decide whether to return home or push on to Edmund's with Plan B.
I'll finish what you started.
Good. Forgive me, Beth.
There's nothing to forgive.
I lied to you.
There's no plan A.
There's no way to help us.
But plan A. All this.
There's no plan A. There's only
all
plan
these
B.
people, the equation. Did my father know?
Do not go. Just
Rage against the dying of the light.
No.
There's only plan B. What does saving the human race mean if everybody on Earth still dies? Whew, heavy. Oh, something about that sound actually makes me feel like I'm in a plane descending through the atmosphere. Whoa, the clouds are solid? Cool. So this is an ice planet. Wouldn't they be able to do better scans before descending through the atmosphere as far as like testing, for basics, like, is it in the right temperature zone? Is there any vegetation on the planet? So this is Mann here, huh? Well, they're in deep freeze or hypersleep, however you want to call it. I wonder how many times they had to reset that. Oh, that's a big reset. It's Matt Damon.
You have literally raised me from the dead. What about the others?
Our present situation, there's very little chance of rescuing any others.
Down at the surface, the ammonia gives way to crystalline hydrocarbons, breathable air, to organics, possibly even to life.
Case is relaying a message for you from the home station.
Oh, and this is her learning about her father, presumably.
I'm sorry for your loss.
He's your own.
Brand, did you know? You knew. This was all a sham. You left us here. Did my father know too? Dad?
He didn't know.
I just want to know.
He definitely didn't know.
If you left me here to die.
To Plan A, I have no idea what she's talking about.
I do. Amelia, your father solved his equation before I even left. You need to see into a black hole. There's some things that aren't meant to be known. He knew how hard it would be to get people to work together to save the species instead of themselves.
Yeah.
Or their children.
People don't think generations ahead. That's why we don't care about the environment. We don't care about the future.
I'm sorry, Cooper. Their case is hopeless.
No.
We are the future.
I'm still trying to solve this.
So,
I love the touches of like the dust on the windows during this scene.
Ghost, because it felt
They definitely picked some titles on that bookshelf on purpose.
like a person.
The Stand.
It's a chance for the people on Earth.
talk to me.
So this is just
Brand told me why you feel you have to go back.
a ton of ice. I don't understand how they expand the colony. I know they've got the frozen embryos,
take
but I
this
mean,
gently.
how do you start mining? Like raw material for building.
Our survival instinct is our single greatest source of inspiration.
Professor, I am having trouble completing the boot up.
I don't understand.
What happened? What did he do to his robot? Did something go wrong?
It's funny. I never really considered the possibility that my planet wasn't the one.
What did he just do?
I can't let you leave with that ship. We cannot survive here. I'm sorry.
What isn't... What?
You faked all the data. Yes.
You faked the data.
You fucking coward.
Yes.
Wow.
No! Dr. Mann, there's a 50-50 chance you're gonna kill yourself. Those are the best odds I've had in years. Don't judge me, Cooper. You were never tested like I was.
What's Mann's plan? Man, this is dark.
Help! Help!
Cooper, we're almost there.
It's all yours, sir.
What did he do? He killed his robot for some reason. So she's burning the crop, so her brother and his family have to leave. Give them no reason to stay. Accessing the archive.
This data makes no sense.
Yeah.
Man, was lying.
The best of us indeed. They should have listened to love. The archive was rigged to explode? Wow. Stole their ship.
If he takes control of that ship, we're dead.
He ruined us?
Oh, he is ruining us.
I repeat, do not attempt docking. Please respond.
Oh, he's gonna destroy the whole ship. This is not gonna go well, is it? The watch. Oh, what is that a result of the magnetic field, or like that watch would have lost its wind long ago, but survival instinct, pretty desperate. Is he actually gonna be able to do it? I feel like he's gonna break it. Yeah. No. Something's wrong. Yeah. This is not gonna go well. It'll either destroy the station or kill Mann, or both. This can't be good.
This is not about my life. This is about all mankind.
No, it's about
There is
your
a moment.
life. Yeah. Just like that. There it goes. There goes the rover. There goes the Endurance. Is he...
What are you
What's
doing?
his plan?
Docking.
He's gonna dock on that? Oh, it's descending too? Jeez. That's some serious piloting if you can pull it off. Get in there. Get in there. Yeah, imagine the G's you're pulling if you're spinning like 60 plus RPM.
Come on, Tars.
Go, Tars! I'm cheering for a frickin' robot. The least personal robot ever. At least in design, like physical design. Is the Endurance still flyable though, with like at least one of its pods blown away like that?
And for our next trip.
Jeez.
It'll have to be good. We're heading into Gargantua's pool.
Oh shit.
There's still the last world, or they just like, do they even have enough fuel to get home? No. So how quickly is time going to pass on this event horizon if it was going 7 years an hour on the planet further away? Like, this is going to be centuries a minute or something insane. It's weird because it's pretty much impossible for us to even conceptualize what a black hole is like, and describing that visually
Prepare to fire escape thrusters.
Ready?
on a 2D screen, but with just 3 dimensions of perspective. I mean, it's interesting to see how they decided to make it look, because it's all interpretation and guesswork And you know, what does a three-dimensional being look to a one-dimensional being? How do we imagine a five-dimensional being? Anyway, something to think about.
This maneuver is gonna cost us 51 years.
51 years.
Detach!
Goodbye, Tars.
Goodbye, Dr. Brent. See you on the other side, Coop.
See you there!
Ranger 2, prepare to detach.
What? No! No! Cooper!
3.
Cooper, what are you doing?
Newton's third law. You gotta leave something behind.
So she gets to go to her planet where hopefully Finn Wolfhard, I know that's not his name, is waiting for her.
It's all black.
The lunar lander. You gotta leave something behind. What are you gonna eject into? The absolute zero of space. Behind a black hole. Like, we can't even imagine. Like, nothing. The sound design here is crazy, by the way. Where, what is this? It's the library. Oh, so he's in a version of the room. He's the ghost. We recognize these books. We recognize that bookshelf. He's on the other side of it. In another dimension. right by the stand. What a fascinatingly designed space. Time is a physical dimension where he is right there. He's like stuck in fifth dimensional space.
Now don't go. Don't go, you idiot. Don't go!
Stay. You gotta get that message across. That's actually stay.
It was you.
Cooper. Come in, Cooper. I don't know, but they constructed this three-dimensional space inside their five-dimensional reality to allow you to understand it.
Gravity can cross the dimensions, including time.
Apparently.
Do you have the quantum data?
Roger, I have it. They didn't bring us here to change the past.
But the past is just a physical dimension now.
Well, they didn't bring us here at all. We brought ourselves.
Yeah, so he's doing the dust patterns.
They didn't choose me, they chose her.
For what, Cooper?
To save the world. The Watch. The Watch. That's it.
Okay, I'm coming down.
Look at the watch. It's a cool way of visually representing the time as a physical dimension there. That's really neat.
All this time, I didn't know it was him. Dad's gonna save us.
So she figured it out. But now what?
The bulk beams are closing the tesseract.
The tesseract?
Don't you get it yet, Tars? They're us.
Cooper, people couldn't build this.
No, not yet. One day.
Ah, he was the handshake. And there's the wormhole again. Where is he? Where are they?
Cooper Station. Currently orbiting Saturn.
Well, nice you to name it after me.
No, named after your daughter.
It's named after your daughter.
Is she still alive?
She'll be here in a couple weeks.
Oh, they rebuilt the farm.
Well, my dad was a farmer. Like everybody else back then.
Yeah. It's a museum. No dust.
Humor. 75%.
Confirmed.
It's a good number.
Auto self-destruct, T-minus 10, 9.
Let's make that 60%.
Knock, knock.
You want 55? I don't care much for this pretending we're back where we started. I want to know where we are.
You know, wants to be a pilot again.
The family's all in there.
Family.
Wow. Wearing the watch. And she married the doctor, I'm assuming.
You told him I like farming.
I knew who it was. I knew he'd come back.
How?
Because my dad promised me.
I'm here now, Mur.
No, I have my kids here for me now. You go.
Where?
She's out there, setting up camp.
Are they stealing one?
Alone in a strange galaxy.
No. Edmonds didn't make it.
The delight of our new sun in our new home.
Oh, wow. She did all that. Where to start? Nolan's films, I think, one of the things that sort of separates him is how it feels like so many of his stories, less so with the Batman stuff, obviously, but his original stories are rooted very much in a single profound idea, and then he finds a way to explore that idea through story. And sometimes those ideas are very pretty simple. You know, this one ironically wasn't so much about what I talked about at the start. This isn't about time being relative and a father missing out on his daughter's life, although that's certainly a very touching result of it. But the deeper idea is about the survival of the human race, and does our survival instinct, you know, this was sort of that discussion between Mann and Cooper. You know, our survival instinct, it's about preserving ourselves and our family. It's those tight single generation family bonds, mother and child, husband and wife, but we have a really hard time thinking about doing the right thing to preserve future generations, the abstract idea of the human race. We lose emotional connection, even if our heart is actually in the right place, even if all the science and everything else says this is how we do it. We literally don't care the same way. There isn't a primal instinct for survival in the same sense. And that moment of betrayal when Professor Brand reveals that Plan A was never going to work, that the only option for human survival is Plan B, and that resigns the rest of the human race to starve and suffocate on a dying planet Earth. that's a painful pill to swallow. And even somebody as dedicated to the cause as Mann, who was willing when he left to go to a different galaxy and live alone and ultimately die just to relay a message back to Earth saying this place is okay. Even he, once he actually went through with that, his instinct was nothing but survival. He lied to mankind. He ruined the validity of the data just on the very off chance that he might be rescued one day. Which is crazy. You know, like, they sent out 12 rovers to explore these worlds. They only got signals back from 3, positive signals from 3. One of them was completely distorted because of that 7 years in a day, in an hour phenomenon on the wave planet. One of them was lies from Mann, and therefore only one world was actually a viable, safe home, a potential future home. And what I love is that closing shot. It's marginally ambiguous, but what I take away from it is that when Anne Hathaway reached the planet, the guy that she loved and hadn't seen for 10 years was there. And she at least got some time with him before she buried him in that final scene. That's my interpretation. You may have a different one, and that's great. That's one of the really cool things about movies is it's your prerogative as a filmmaker to leave some ambiguity in the story, and that opens up the story to interpretation, and people can walk away with different interpretations, and there isn't necessarily a right one or a wrong one, but everybody can take their own message away from it. Film's really cool like that. You know, a lot of art is like that. The ambiguity is not a flaw necessarily. It can be intentional and it can be powerful. I could see this movie being incredibly difficult to wrap your head around if you didn't have some basic understanding of relativity. But I don't pretend to be an expert by any means, but I have read some Stephen Hawking, and I've had good enough physics teachers in the past to explain what happens at near light travel as far as relative time and everything else. So I actually found that this was a more straightforward Nolan story, a Nolan movie, than many of his other projects, which really do take serious concentration to figure out what's going on. Tenet immediately comes to mind, but I remember the same what the fuck deciphering necessary the first time I watched Memento, for instance. This was quite linear in a sense. I mean, like, we didn't jump back and forth in time. We jumped between the Endurance and Earth, and because they were moving at time was moving at different speeds on either, it felt like we were going back and forth, but really we weren't. It was quite a linear story. It's interesting. A lot of time travel stories have to deal with the paradox of your future self saves your past self, and that's perhaps solved here by our apparent evolution into further dimensions. Like, if we can understand living as 5-dimensional creatures, and therefore we are actually able to move through time, then that, I guess what it boils down to is who put the wormhole there in the first place. I would love to hear your theories in the comments below. I always feel with a movie like this that my thoughts are still processing in the hours after watching it. This is the kind of movie where really you need to go for a drink with the friends you watched it afterwards, and you can talk about it in the bar or, you know, in the coffee shop, whatever your preference, for hours afterwards. And, you know, maybe your friend caught something that you didn't, and together you get to piece the whole puzzle together and hopefully end up with a finished jigsaw at the end of it. But I'm sure a couple hours from now I'll have more evolved thoughts about this, but this is a reaction video. This is my in the moment commentary, and I'm never disappointed by a Nolan film. Typically, this isn't the kind of space movie that I'm into. I like my space gritty. I like it less sleek, less grandiose, more rooted in not reality's the wrong word, but rooted in functionality. Like my favorite space stuff: Star Wars, Firefly, aliens, working people in space. So I wasn't sure going in, knowing what I knew about the movie, and I didn't know a ton, but I knew the aesthetic, that this might not be my cup of tea. But it very much was, and I gotta say, like, an amazing cast. It's weird, because I never think of McConaughey as, like, a top-of-the-line dramatic actor. I still think of Matthew McConaughey as Wooderson from Dazed and Confused. That's what I saw him in that when that came out. He was an unknown to me at that point. He was an unknown to pretty much everybody at that point. And he's always carried some of that persona with him over the years. But he's evolved into such an incredibly strong dramatic actor. And it always sort of catches me by surprise, because that's just not where my head is as far as what he's about. But yeah, he was stellar in this. I've missed the name of the young actress that played young Murph. I thought she was great. But at every level, I mean, like, Timothée Chalamet was a great young son, and it really felt like Casey Affleck, like that felt like a natural progression. Like they really felt like the same person over the years. Jessica Chastain and Hathaway, they're great, obviously. What I loved was, like, the bigger actors in the smaller roles, you know, like, you know, Michael Caine's perfect at these sorts of minor but important roles. But what a nice surprise to see Matt Damon come out of the hypersleep pod on his planet, and cool to see him play a, if not villain, definitely not a hero for a change. You know, he spent a lot of time filming in spacesuits over the years between this and The Martian. I hope he doesn't get typecast too much as the only man on a planet. Does he just sort of become the go-to guy for that now? Just a really well done film, really interesting. You know, like, once you start talking about dimensions beyond our own 3 physical dimensions and 1 temporal dimension, the human brain doesn't naturally visualize any of that. I think it's literally impossible, because our brain is hardwired to think in 3 dimensions. So adding a 4th dimension becomes completely conceptual, and there's no way to properly visualize it. So demanding a production designer make that a visual representation is a very tall task, and I'm not sure that there's a perfect solve, and yet this worked really well between the cinematographer and the production designer, and no doubt massive visual effects team, even though this is Nolan and he likes to do practical whenever possible. I'm sure there were a few visual effects in here. Just a really striking visual movie as much as anything else, and I really appreciated that too. I could ramble for a while longer, but I'm I actually want to sort of like let this one soak in a bit now. And to that end, I will thank all of you for joining me. Until next time, everybody, take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.